Welcome all. Thank you for joining us for our Health Sciences Professional Development, Embracing Your Worth, Impostor Phenomenon. I have a few housekeeping items before I introduce myself and Dr. Sharma. This session is being recorded and you will have access to the recording and slide presentation for future use. We invite you to submit questions in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can by the end of the session, and I will be monitoring that throughout. We're all on Zoom today, so we ask that you remain muted with video off unless asking a live question, just to assist us with the recording. Also, this session is eligible for CE credit, and you will receive the website and activity code before we conclude today. There is a very short survey associated with the continuing education, and we thank you in advance for providing feedback as we continue to bring you diverse and robust programming here at Creighton. Now, just a little about our presenters today. Dr. Poonam Sharma is a professor and chair of pathology at Creighton University School of Medicine and CHI Health. As the medical director for CHI Nebraska Laboratories and the Common Spirit National Laboratory Service Line, she has led the pathology department in CHI Health to numerous successful outcomes. Beyond her medical and leadership achievements, Dr. Sharma is also a certified executive coach, recognized by the International Coach Federation, specializing in physician leadership coaching. She also serves as a leadership coach in prestigious programs such as the Stanford Physician Leadership Program and the Executive Leadership in Academic Medicine, ELAM, program at Drexel University. And I am Dr. Jessica Seaman, Assistant Professor of Medical Humanities and the Assistant Dean for Faculty Development in Creighton School of Medicine. I began my journey a little over 4 years ago with Creighton as the Academic Success Consultant for Graduate Medical Education on the Phoenix Health Sciences campus. And I supported residents, fellows, and faculty with all academic needs, including time management, learning strategies, effective teaching techniques, CV writing, and creation of study plans. I have been involved in education for over 30 years as a public school educator, administrator, and university professor as I earned my degrees from the University of Utah and Northern Arizona University. I would also like to acknowledge and thank Cheryl Minier, as she has been integral in assisting me and Poonam with today's session. So we're very grateful to Cheryl. Thank you so much for all of your help. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Poonam is going to be advancing our slides. So let's go ahead and get the next slide. This is an important one. You're going to want to take your phone and take a picture with your camera of that QR code to log onto the Poll Everywhere. I'll give you just a couple minutes. I'm going to do it as well. Okay, it is working on my end. If you do not have a phone in front of you that you're able to take the QR code picture, please answer things in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat and we'll be able to get any answers on there as well. All right, Poonam, let's go ahead and start with our reflection. Because we are who we are Creighton University, we like to start with a reflection. And I really like this one that I found from a professional photographer, Tamara Porto. And she says, self-worth is the internal sense that you are worthy of love and belonging from others. It is often confused with self-esteem. Sometimes we use them interchangeably, but self-esteem really relies on external factors such as successes and achievements to define your worth. But embracing self-worth, which is something that we're going to be talking about today, is a journey. So please remember that we are on a journey. You may hear some things that you've already heard before. You may hear some new things, which is what we're hoping as you continue on this journey of self-worth. It requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to change our inner critic. So with that reflection, we're going to go ahead and move on. Poonam, one more slide. We have no disclosures. And as we talk about our path today, our objectives today, we really want everyone to understand what are the signs and symptoms of imposter phenomenon. And can we then, after today's session, explore impact and types of imposter phenomenon so that we really understand where is it coming from and how is it divided into different kind of types. We also want to develop practical coping strategies. That's going to be an important part for today, and foster a supportive, inclusive, empowering environment so that as we're helping ourselves, we're also helping other people around us.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session. Thank you, Jessica, for a warm introduction, and welcome, as well as setting the stage for this session with the beautiful reflection. This topic, imposter phenomenon, is deeply personal for me. And as a coach, I coach on this topic. I've given talks. And most recently, about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I was invited to conduct a workshop for a group of physicians. And this topic got everybody talking. People opened up and shared their experiences and their stories. I want to ask you to not keep whatever is coming on your mind to yourself as we are moving through the presentation. Please share your comments, thoughts via chat. We'll try to get to it. This is a very interactive presentation. As Jessica has already shown you the QR code, we want you to participate. And if the QR code doesn't work, it's okay. You can put your statement in there. Because I believe that there's a lot of wisdom in this room, and I'm not the only expert talking on this topic. So please share. So during this workshop, as I mentioned, a lot of people opened up about their stories. And one family physician shared her tale when she graduated from residency and started her first job. She shared that she really felt very uncomfortable in her first position. For several months, she was doubting her own abilities. She felt that she wasn't competent. And, she went through this cycle of just feeling really inadequate and self-doubt. Then another gentleman, a medical director who holds a coveted position in a very prestigious organization, also opened up about his experience. And he said, despite practicing for many years and also in a leading position, I still feel like an imposter sometimes. I go through the feelings of self-doubt, and I wonder if I'm doing the right thing and I'm saying the right thing, making right decisions. So, guys, this is imposter phenomenon. Simply put, imposter phenomenon is extreme self-doubt that paralyzes us in our track, and we are not able to move forward. We all have self-doubt, but what we are talking about is over the top. Yeah. And you will notice in this that people who are highly competent, they question their own legitimacy. They question their competence. They have feeling of self-doubt, inadequacy, and incompetence. So this is imposter syndrome. And I would say that I like to use imposter phenomenon. So if I switch back and forth, please remember, I want to say imposter phenomenon because it is not a syndrome. It's not a disease. Okay. If you have these feelings, you do not have a mental disorder. And we should get that label out of this, right? So Let me ask you with this question. Have you ever felt like you are not as competent as others think you are? Yeah. So most people in the audience have felt this way, and you can relate to what I'm talking about. All right. Thank you for your responses, 90%. And I have done this kind of poll before. Almost always, these are the kind of responses I have received. Jessica, shall we move on to the next slide?
Yes, I think we've got another question next.
Yes. So we
Yes.
have another question. Have you ever avoided taking on a challenge or opportunity because you feared being exposed as not good enough? Well, again, not a surprise. Okay. So yeah, 80% of people in the room have rejected or avoided a new challenge, opportunity, or a position just because you feel like you're not competent enough, not good enough. So this term, imposter phenomenon, was coined by two psychologists, Dr. Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes of the Georgia State University. And in their study, 1978 study focused on high achieving women, what they found out was that despite outstanding academic and professional achievements, these women always felt like they are not bright enough, they are not talented enough, and that they just got lucky to receive the success that they have achieved, and that they really don't deserve that success. They are very good at fooling other people, or somebody favored them, and that's how they received the position and accolades that they have received. So mostly seen in, it's a very common condition, as you can see from our Zoom poll. Many of us have experienced these feelings. Research actually shows that 70 to 80% of individuals, whether they are physicians, lawyers, teachers, parents, mothers, they experience feeling of self-doubt. But remember that it's not a mental disease. These are common feelings that we all have experienced. So another question for you. What behaviors or thoughts do you consider signs of imposterism? This is a short response question. So put in your response in brief, and we should be able to see overworking, yes. Self-doubt. Actually, looks like it's a word cloud format. Yeah. Overworking, self-doubt, underqualified, less worthy, fear, yes. Remain quiet. Yeah. All right. Thank you for your responses. Anxious, yes. Anxiety, stress. Okay. So, yeah, I agree with you. Underqualified. There are common themes here, as you can see. And many of us are thinking the same way in the room here. All right. So, what are the telltale signs? You have already alluded to some signs and symptoms. What we see is that these symptoms and feelings are more common in high achieving women, high achieving men. So it's not just one gender. We see imposterism in both men and women. Sonia Sotomayor, Michelle Obama, Sheryl Sandberg, Tom Hanks, Starbucks CEO, previous CEO Howard Schultz. Many people have admitted to having feelings of imposterism. So Emma Watson of Harry Potter fame, um, during an interview with, I believe it was Vogue magazine or so, admitted to having severe feelings of imposter. Yeah. And she said that when she's standing in front of a mirror, she fails to connect with the person she's seeing in the mirror. So this is a characteristic of this phenomenon, is that you deny your success and you attribute it to luck, mistake, or overwork, or because you were favored. And you also have difficulty in internalizing your success. It sort of creates a metaphorical wall between you and your real you, the intelligent person that is you, the capable, smart person that is you. You also feel like you're wearing a mask. And if the mask is removed, you will be discovered as a fraud. You feel like, you're the dumbest person on in the room. I had a administrator, let's call him Will, and Bill had so much institutional knowledge, and he was a very, very capable guy and managed the department really well. But I often heard him say in meetings that, what do I know, Dr. Sharma? I'm the dumbest person on earth. I don't have MD behind my name. So these individuals usually would underestimate their worth and overestimate other people. Um, about a year or so ago, I was at an award ceremony, and this person, let's call him Jim, received an award, and he went to the podium to receive the award. And during his acceptance speech, he said that he is not deserving of the award, and that award belongs to Mr. X or X. And people in the audience was wondering what he's talking about. So again, overestimating others while underestimating oneself. They often self-sabotage to cover self-doubt and perfectionism. So with those feelings of self-doubt, when a new assignment is given, we tend to overwork. We try to perfect everything. We try to strive for excellence to cover up the feeling of inadequacy. So we are almost like on a hamster wheel, and we try to prove our worth. Of course, we are smart and we get it done and we receive good performance review. Well, that accomplishment is very short lasting. And then we are again overwhelmed by feeling of inadequacy and self-doubt. And this cycle continues. And that leads to stress, anxiety, and eventual burnout.
So let's dive into the research a little bit. There is no shortage of research. Poonam, if you'll just click through, I think they're animated. It might be, yeah. We've got nursing research, we have imposter phenomenon, and perfectionism in medical, dental, nursing, pharmacy students, and one more. the professional identity struggle and ideology with residents. We know that it happens frequently, imposter phenomenon and that self-doubt within all health science programs and specialties. So there's no shortage of research, but let's go ahead and see what the research is telling us. If you'll just click one more, thank you. Especially in the health science fields, we have AMA and Stanford medicine study where they studied over 3,000 physicians and found that 1 in 4 doctors across all specialties reported this intense feeling of imposter phenomenon. And these are recent too, within just the last couple of years. And KPMG study found that 75% of female execs have experienced imposter phenomenon at some point in their career. And this was done with over 750 high performing female execs. So kind of like what Poonam was talking about when they did the study back in the 70s. And then Journal of General Internal Medicine, they did a study as well where 56 to 82% of graduate students, including the medical, the nursing, and other health sciences, felt this intense imposter phenomenon. And then a little bit further back, the International Journal of MedEd did a pilot study where almost 25% of male and 50% of female medical students also were experiencing imposter phenomenon. So we know that there is a lot of research out there. These are just a few of the ones that that we pulled up. It's not uncommon, but how are we going to classify it? How are we going to use this research to find out what kind of types there are with types of imposter phenomenon or types of imposter syndrome? We're going to stop right here on this slide for just a little bit. And I just want you to look at these. The next slide, we're not going to go to the next slide yet, Poonam, but the next slide is going to give a very simple version of this. This is a little deeper and a little bit more explanation on the perfectionist, the expert, the soloist, the natural genius, or the superhuman, and kind of the kinds of things that you'll see under each type of imposter phenomenon that might be going on. Let's go to the next slide. It's a little bit simpler version of this, and then we'll stay on this slide for just a little bit. So you can see same 5 types, but different organizations that have classified these 5 types. And I want to tell you a little bit about my own imposter phenomenon. I was in K-12 education for at least 25 years. I had a lot of teaching years behind me, but then also some administration and leadership within the K-12 realm. And when I made the jump to higher education, when I started teaching it at ASU and MCC here in Arizona, this happened for me very strong. I felt like the K-12 realm was where I was supposed to be, but because of some different things that had happened within our family and some different things that happened within the districts I was working in, I decided to make the jump to higher education. And imposter phenomenon signs and symptoms were really, really showing themselves. And the type that I started becoming was the superhero. Superhumanism started taking over, and I started overworking to try to make up for how inadequate that I felt. I felt like I could take a preschooler or a kindergartner or a 3rd grader or even an 8th grader and work with them on math or social studies or science or different curriculum and and really bring out the best in them. But could I do it with adults? Could I do it at ASU and MCC and eventually at Creighton? And especially when I made the jump from ASU and MCC to start working with resident physicians. I also do not have an MD behind my name, although I've had 10 plus years of college and university um, experience with actually taking classes and going to school myself and doing professional development. I still did not feel adequate. But what happened was physician residents were coming to me and I was working with them one-on-one, and we started to see some improvement with their studying. We started to see some improvement with their testing. And I realized that maybe there was something I could contribute. There was something that maybe a different way of looking at things, because I am not a physician. Maybe I had something to offer that was helpful to physician residents. And I started feeling a little bit more confident. Now, it doesn't mean that overworking has completely gone away. And that perfectionism, I have a little bit of that as well. But it does feel like it's a little bit more manageable when I start seeing a little bit of success. So that is helpful for me to kind of come out of that imposter phenomenon a little bit, as my career has developed and as I've taken on new roles. So let's go ahead and go to the next one, Poonam. I'm sure many of you have stories as well that are similar to mine, but let's go ahead. I think, Poonam, you're going to talk about the myths.
Yes, I'm going to go to the next slide, but in the meantime, if you guys want to share your experiences, please put those in the chat. I'm sure we all can relate to Jessica's story. So there are several myths that surround imposter phenomenon. And number one is it's only seen in women. Only women experience it. And I think this is a bogus statement because we know it is seen in men also. Research actually indicates that the incidence of imposterism is very similar between men and women. Studies also suggest that men and women behave differently when they have imposter feelings. Men tend to shy away from that assignment, but women tend to just get in it, deal with the feelings, and move on. In my coaching practice, I see very accomplished leaders, men and women, with a glimpse of imposterism. So this is definitely a myth. In one of my talks on this topic, I heard an audience say that, Poonam, this could be a good thing because you're overworking, you are perfecting, and this would lead to success. And that's how we've gotten to where we are in our careers. I say, we don't need to have extreme self-doubt in this manner, okay? This kind of, these feelings can actually lead to a lot of stress, anxiety, and burnout. So it's definitely not a good thing. And we all need to learn how to manage it. And also, I say that it is our responsibility that we don't trigger imposter feelings in other people. The other myth that I often hear is that it's just in your head. Well, these feelings are real. Imposterism is not a disease, but it can cause real damage to your self-esteem and confidence. Okay. And lastly, we can learn to manage imposterism. I have met many successful people who admitted to having these feelings, but they continue to move on. They cultivated the strategy to manage these feelings, and they achieved great success. In fact, in my coaching experience, I find it extremely rewarding when I see someone, when I coach people with these feelings and they're able to overcome it. very, I feel really good about helping these individuals get through this experience and conquer these feelings and beat it. So with respect to men versus women, Tom Hanks has admitted to having imposter feelings. And there was a TV presenter, BBC TV presenter, some of you may know him, Sir Michael Parkinson's. He passed away last year. But, you know, he was so accomplished. He interviewed world-renowned personalities, Muhammad Ali, David, Victoria Beckham. And he said that when he's on the TV set, he pretended to look confident, but he continued to feel inadequate. So, you know, he died at the age of 88. And, you know, you can see that some of us live with it for a long time, and it doesn't have to be like this. We need to, you know, remove the stigma that surrounds imposter phenomenon. So let's hopefully we can get you talking this time with this discussion question. In what ways do society or culture contribute to imposter phenomenon?
You can go ahead and add in the chat, or please feel free to unmute yourself. You can say something out loud as well. But thinking about society and maybe culture or background that could contribute to this. Okay, we've got social media for sure. How you identify, so gender identification or things of the like. The Good Boys Club, the good old boys, yeah.
Yeah. How about culture of medicine?
Hard work and overworking is rewarded and applauded.
Yes, yeah.
Comment. And CV comparisons. That's huge.
CV comparison with others. And certainly some of the things we see in society, like social media was pointed out, comparison is a thief of joy. That's what I say. We all need to acknowledge and celebrate our accomplishments. And we all have our unique gifts that have to be celebrated. Salary comparison, yes.
I feel like when we use comparison as well, Poonam, just to piggyback on that, we're usually comparing ourselves with a little 1 foot ruler. Those are the rulers we always use in elementary school. We've got them in our desks, the 1 foot ruler, but maybe we're comparing with other people with a yardstick and they're getting much further. And so as we compare, we're not using the same comparison. It's not usually apples to apples. We're usually using apples to oranges. So somebody else says in academia, it seems like student opinions are becoming much more harsh. So maybe taking on some of those feedback comments in academia. You bet. Residency fit. So where you're fitting in with research or service or leadership, that can certainly add to it as well. Salary comparisons, somebody else put salary.
So
people are socialized and growing up in any kind of, yes, the success metrics, right? What is actually seen as successful. Great comments. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, great engagement. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
I think we've got two. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Poonam.
Yeah, so absolutely right. You guys have already spoken about the things I'm going to talk about. And let me begin by sharing my own story. Some of you know that previously, in my previous life, before I became a pathologist, I was obstetrician. And this was when I was in England. And I was just few months out of the medical school. I was first year resident in OB. And one night I got about 2 a.m. or so, I got a call to see a pregnant patient with seizures. Okay. I ran to the delivery suite and this lady was there, and I noticed a lot of chaos. I mean, a subtle chaos in the room, and other providers looking to me to provide a solution and handle this situation. I felt so much pressure to perform, and in that, I'm sharing this incident only because it's so much implanted in my brain. I felt I felt like I have to make things right. There was literally so much pressure. And every minute I was there, I was hoping and praying that my attending would show up and figure this out because I don't know what to do. What did I do? I did what needed to be done. And we uh, had a good outcome. But what I'm saying is that culture of medicine is such that there are strict performance goals. Healthcare is perfect breeding ground for imposter feelings. Why? Because we deal with human life. You know, we cannot hurt the patient. We cannot make mistakes. We have taken oath to be the healer, the protector, and all of us feel that pressure. There is, we have to perform. We cannot be wrong. So we have a culture. Um, Sometimes in medicine that punishes or humiliates mistakes. Also, especially talking about medicine, there is, for many of us, there are no boundaries between personal and work life. As many of you have already said, overwork is applauded. Perfectionism is applauded. Striving for excellence till you die is applauded. So we overwork, either because of the nature of our work or because of the fact that we always connected with our devices. There is no time to relax and reflect. We're constantly on this hamster wheel, feeling anxious and stressed out. So all of those the things that we experience in medicine, all the culture of medicine, and I would say culture in general in many workplaces reinforces imposter feelings. One thing I want to emphasize that imposter feelings, just like all emotions, are transferable. They are contagious. Many of us are leaders in this room. If you work with a perfectionist boss, it will trigger imposter feeling in yourself. So one thing we can do is, we don't want to be toxic bosses like a perfectionist boss. I saw a mistake in that slide. When you do your presentation, please share your presentation with me so I can double check it. Or insecure bosses. You embarrass me in that meeting. Next time, please involve me in every step. So micromanaging. Bosses that are erratic, sometimes they appreciate you, other times they condemn you. Bosses that criticize. So this kind of culture and workplace triggers imposter feelings in everyone. So we don't want to be leaders who portray these characteristics. I think it is very important that we bring in empathy and encouragement to everyone we deal with. Then some of it is related to our upbringing. Okay, there are some families, including Indian families, where academic achievement is highly valued, and your self-worth is tied to your achievement. Other families, achievement in sports is highly valued. And children know that we won't be able to please our parents unless we do X, Y, or Z. You have to be at top of your class, where children are compared to other children or siblings. We already talked about this. Comparison triggers these feelings of inadequacy. Families where there is dysfunction, discord, strife doesn't provide a supporting environment to the children who are growing up in that family. And they always try to please their parents. They're always trying to prove their worth to sort of mitigate this kind of dysfunction, as well as narcissistic families where love is conditional. Okay, you do this for us, then we will love you. We, as parents, as educators, as leaders, have to be very conscious of the fact that if we try to live our life through our children or our students, we are comparing. We are setting up unrealistic expectations. And that is very stressful for people around us. Another important point, incidence of imposterism is significantly higher in people of color, indigenous population, Black population, okay? Discrimination, microaggression, isolation, unequal treatment and access triggers these feelings. So we want to create inclusive environment for our people, our families. So we are not contributing to this stressful phenomenon. So what is the impact of it? Why do we need to educate ourselves on imposterism and develop strategies to manage it? Okay, so here is when you speak up. How does imposter phenomenon impact one's mental health? We want to hear from some audience. If you can open up your mic and speak, please.
So some people are typing, it drains your energy. It can break a person's spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is really intense. I like this one, splitting and living dual lives.
Yeah.
So trying to do everything in one area of your life and then also trying to do everything in another area of your life creates anxiety. And if you already have depression and anxiety, somebody says it really exacerbates it. And of course, it becomes such a heavy weight, rumination. So we're ruminating on things. We keep dwelling on it.
Yeah, metaphorically speaking, imposterism is like wearing a mask, like you're in a masquerade ball wearing a mask. And if you remove your mask, then people will find out that you are a fraud. That's living dual life. Yeah, wonderful. Heavy weight, stress, anxiety, that is the cost. And also, these feelings won't let us, say yes for the opportunities. This self-doubt keeps us from career growth. We won't ask for things. We won't ask for position. We won't ask for appropriate compensation. If somebody offers us a leadership role, we don't want to do it because we feel inadequate. We feel incompetent. And most of it is the negative voices in our head, we avoid risk taking. And all in all, it can lead to extreme stress, anxiety, exhaustion, and burnout. So we pay a huge cost. And the cost sometimes is not just to ourselves, even for people around us. And we have to be very conscious of that.
So Poonam, let's stay on this slide for just a little bit, and I want to share something. So one time, in one of my positions, I attended a professional development that was all about negotiation and the art of negotiating and how we might be able to negotiate something within our salary or negotiate something within our responsibilities. And I was feeling confident. I was feeling so confident after this really great talk. And I put some things together to take to some of my direct leads. Um, and show to leadership, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think we could increase some things here, maybe just decrease some things here? And I felt like I was bringing something to the table, and really knew, okay, I can negotiate this. Let's at least start the conversation. But what happened was it was ignored. Or there was even one leader that said, no, this isn't going to happen. Like, we can't make any changes right now. And I felt so defeated. And these things are so real, because I felt like maybe not so much impeding the career growth, but it kind of took the wind out of my sails, where I was just, um, I don't want to keep riding this boat anymore. I don't want to keep sailing this boat, if we're not able to negotiate some things. So, it can also just really, in addition to the stress, anxiety, the exhaustion, all of that, it just kind of defeats you, where you're like, well, I'm just dragging myself along in a certain position because they're not willing to negotiate, or they're not willing to just, let's have a conversation and let's see where we can go from here. And it's not always things that are involving money. It's not always things that are involving responsibility, but there could be a lot of things that with negotiation, it can really take a toll on us. So I just wanted to add to that, as we're talking about the cost. It's not always financial cost.
Right. There's a comment here, crushing April. I have been told they pay for the position, not the person. So no matter what I did, it would not increase my salary.
Thank you,
Yeah,
April, for sharing that. Yeah.
yeah, I feel your pain, and I can definitely relate to these sentiments. This just crushes us, really. I think that's the word that comes to my mind. Yeah. Well, that's awesome discussion, you guys. So there are a number of studies. I'm just sharing a couple of publications pertaining to imposterism and burnout. All right. Well, we've talked about how it impacts us. Now we want to know how to overcome these feelings. Positive self-talk. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, scientifically speaking, positive affirmations definitely help. Coaching, yes. Reminding yourself that I have to work hard to get there, and that you deserve what you're earning, your position, your compensation, position, everything.
A lot of these that you're adding in here have to do with communication with ourselves, but also communication with other people. It's important to say things out loud sometimes. And sometimes it can just help us continue on in a different light when we say things out loud. Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So you've already alluded to what we can do. Okay, and we've talked about societal pressures, culture at work, and so on, and dealing with the nasty bosses. All of that is there. And in my experience, at least in my lifetime, I don't think I could control those things. And as a coach who loves to empower people, I say to people, you are the CEO of your life. You are driving this bus. Okay, so take charge, and learn to recognize these feelings. So first thing is awareness. Know that these feelings are this is mental chatter in your mind, and it's not true. Okay, so uh, understand that you are understand your triggers, understand when you're having these feelings, know that you're a highly accomplished person. Also try to reflect on what is the reason for these feelings. Maybe it's related to your upbringing. Maybe that's how you were, your experiences have been. But I say this, that whatever happened in the past, you don't have to live with that. You can change your story, guys. You can change your stories. Learn to identify triggers. So for example, as Jessica mentioned, when she took a new position in higher education, all of those feelings of inadequacy, incompetency came back. She was not feeling very confident in her position. It usually happens when we take a new challenge, a new position, a leadership role, or when we have a high power assignment, a presentation to make to the board of directors, let's just say. Uh, those are mostly the triggers. So day to day, we can be okay, but learn to identify what triggers these feelings and be prepared. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, and let me manage those feelings. um, Change your narrative. you know um, Most of the, like you guys have said in the responses, you feel inadequate, incompetent. Change that narrative. You've come a long way. Acknowledge your accomplishments. And when I coach people, I often say this to them is, write down on a sticky note. Um, if somebody has complimented you, if you've done a good job, don't depend on other people giving you accolades. You can acknowledge your own accomplishments. You know, if you've received an award, put it in front. I received an award. This was a while back, but I still have in my office, just as a reminder that people acknowledge what I do, and they appreciate what I do. I'm good at what I'm doing. Self-care and positive self-talk definitely help. Anytime you see yourself perfecting your note, perfecting your email, perfecting your reports, for those who are pathologists, including myself, we all have tendency to strive for perfectionism. Okay, stop. Good enough is good enough. Okay, so practice self-care. Don't work yourself to death. Learn to recognize those negative voices in your head and silence them. With all what you have accomplished, keep all of your accomplishment in your forefront. And when you have those negative voices, you can use what I call memory pegs, where you have memory of receiving some accolade. You think about that, right? And learn to silence those negative mental chatter, also known as automatic um, negative thoughts, ATNs. Create your dream team. Find a coach, a mentor, a friend, maybe your mother, somebody in your family to whom you can openly talk about these things. My daughter is internal medicine resident, and she often calls us, and with the tone of her voice, I know why she's calling today. And she will tell me, Mom, I was asked to do this, and I really felt like I haven't done this before, or I've done this only twice, and I felt so much pressure. Well, find somebody to whom you can talk about these feelings. And if you are a parent or a leader, don't fault find, don't try to find fault, and don't try to comfort. Just listen to what your children are saying, or your faculty or your students are saying, and acknowledge that these feelings happen. Okay, it's normal to feel this way in certain situations. So have your be the person to whom people can approach if they are feeling self-doubt. And if you're feeling self-doubt, you need to have your personal board of directors to whom you can go, and also then create a new narrative for yourself. I am well able. I am competent. I am powerful. My skills are wanted. I am anointed. Studies show that these affirmations definitely help. Okay, so use these strategies to mitigate the effect of imposter feelings, because as you can see, there is tremendous cost to it.
I
And
love that you said personal board of directors. I have never heard that before, Poonam, but I love that. As you're building your dream team and you've got this personal board of directors, you can just see it. You can see the faces of the people that are gonna assist you with creating your new narrative.
right, yeah. So those are the strategies, and I have seen many people use this strategy and continue to move on with their life. It doesn't have to paralyze you. You've achieved so much already, and it's possible to do more things, greater things, fulfill your aspirations, and keep going. So it's not something that we cannot handle. I know we are almost on the clock, Jessica, and this is the last question we have for our audience.
Yes, and as you're getting ready to log off, we would love you to put something in the chat that you think we might be able to do collectively here at Creighton to address any of these pressures. We will definitely save the chat and we will be looking back at it. And if there are things that we can share with health science leadership or Creighton leadership, then we can do that as well. As people are doing that, Poonam, let's just click through the next few slides, just so people know that do have some references and resources for you on the next slide.
Yeah, I will. I want to highlight one comment coming from Sangeeta. Okay. Find meaning outside of work. Yes, we focus too much on our work. Our whole worth is tied to our work. It definitely broadens our horizon when we can find meaning outside of work. All right, so let me click through it. Okay, one important point. There is an imposter phenomenon test. You can take the test. It would take about 5 minutes. I've listed the PDF here. You can take a picture of the screen if you want to, and you can take a test and you can see your own score. Where do you stand? I have taken the test and I have gotten better. So there is good news here. I also have a YouTube channel on which I have a playlist on imposterism. So, a little bit of self-promotion here. I do these videos for people I coach and my students, my residents. So take a look at that. Then I suggest that if you want to read more, then there is a wonderful book by Lisa Aubrey Austin, a fellow coach of mine. She coaches in Stanford program, Own Your Greatness, and she has a wonderful TED talk on this. So with that, and there are several other resources, like I say, you can take a screenshot of it. And I thank you very much for attending today's session. Thank you, Jessica and Cheryl.
Thank you, Poonam. Do we have 2 more slides? Can you just click to those? Just so people can see those?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I have 2 more, yeah. Just so they can get the continuing education credit. And then we do have our contact on the last slide. And we will make sure that you receive these slides and the recording. Thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Thank you, guys. Really enjoyed discussing this with you. And please call upon us if you need if you have further comments or you need to just chat. Thank you.